It would also be great to earn that extra money and then invest it straight back into your career. You could put it into your marketing and just keep adding fuel to the fire that you're building. But what happens once you start earning that money? What happens when you got some income and you're generating some revenue for yourself? And I feel like a lot of artists fumble their bag because they make a huge mistake of not learning any parts of the business. They are in an industry and have a career in a business that they know nothing about. And as important as it is for an artist to earn money, it's gonna be just as important that they learn the business too. You feel me? As important as it is for an artist to earn money, it's also just as important for them to learn what to do with the money once they get it. What's good, and welcome to Indie Leverage. I am happy to be here today for a very special episode of Let's Talk About It, where I take you with me and I search for some of the best advice I can find from music artists. So, we're here back again with episode number 10, but this episode is special because the advice that we're going to focus on today is about how an artist can start earning some money and generating some income with their music. But you already know, man. Let's talk about it. Up first, we got a clip from Earn Your Leisure, and they say they got a hidden secret to generating some money as an independent artist. And naturally, this piqued my interest, so let's see what they talking about.
You hear songs that you never heard of, like in these TV shows, stuff like that. It's like background music.
Yeah.
And for like a couple seconds, when you think about it. But like definitely a lot of songs. I mean, of course you hear like some big name artists, but a lot of times you hear, it's like Power and stuff like that. You'll just hear random stuff.
Yeah.
That you've never heard before ever.
So all those artists probably got paid, I would say anywhere from 5 to 15K. But the game is getting multiple placements. There's a young, I know this one girl who just be knocking out CW placements. She getting like 5 a month. And it's like, I doubt she gonna, disclose her source, because when you're looking at it, if CW is looking for this song, then they go to me and her, and my stuff might be better. She ain't gonna disclose it. But the idea is you start out music supervisor. Yeah. I want to slap myself right now because I found the music supervisor for all of Activision Blizzard. So that's all their stuff, right? I went to this thing called SyncCon with me and my producer, shout out Jay Mix. We went out there and we was just networking like crazy, like NFL. Somebody was there cause everybody has music to take any scene of a movie to the next level. Right, like anytime you turn on TV, you're gonna hear music. Like that is what we are, right? Whether it's just some normal classical music, hip hop, like hip hop, the #1 genre right now, right? EDM, club scene, whatever. Like those DJs are getting paid. And the reality is, if you're signed, it's harder to get the clearance, and they're gonna charge you more. So big pub deals, etc. And so certain people, they rather go after smaller artists. And so if you're a small artist, bro, find you LinkedIn, music supervisor, Google music supervisor companies, right? Google sync and licensing companies. And that's how you really take your music to the next level.
So first of all, let's talk about what a music supervisor even does, right? These are the people that are responsible for selecting and licensing the music that's used in, like movies and TV shows, stuff like that. But I learned a lot about, what I know about sync licensing through Ari Herstand, between his book and especially his podcast. He has a whole bunch of different interviews directly with different music supervisors. And from my understanding, music supervisors usually work pretty close with the directors and the producers, and their job in a nutshell is to put together the perfect soundtrack for, whatever project that they're working on. And, they was actually making a point in that video, because if you listen to the music that, a lot of these popular shows are using, a lot of the times it's music from artists that you ain't even heard of before. So initially, as an independent artist, you might be thinking, okay, so how would I ever be able to get my music in front of these music supervisors? And there's going to be different approaches that you can take, but I mean, I guess the most common one would be that artists submit their music to like the music libraries, and basically, think of like the libraries as a collection of songs that music supervisors can just go through and pick out which ones they want. But some music libraries are actually exclusive, and you can't work with anybody else or put your music on any other libraries. And some of them work better for a particular genre or like a style of music. Like, you have to make sure your music actually fits in to whatever they already got going on. So, I mean, just make sure that you do your research before you spend the time submitting your music to a whole bunch of random libraries. You feel me? Like, you got to be patient and implement the right type of strategy. And that's going to increase your chances of getting selected for a project or something, because they're looking for a particular sound that fits with your music. But another way that you can try and get your music noticed is by going to different networking events like music conferences. And, that could get a little bit pricey depending on where you go, but it's also a great way to meet not only the music supervisors, but also all the other, professionals in the industry as well. And, you want to do as much as you can and leverage yourself in a position that is going to help you get your foot in the door, because you don't want to just show up to these events with your fingers crossed, hoping that the stars somehow magically aligned or something like that. So, you want to make sure that you come prepared. You have some sort of demo reel and the pitch that highlights what makes your music unique. And they had mentioned that you could use LinkedIn to look up the music supervisors, which, that's facts. You could definitely do that. But you could also go to I think it's called IMDb. I don't know, the order might be off, but I think it's called IMDb. And that's where you can look up any movie or a show and see all the people that worked on it. But both of those would be an effective tool that you could do your research with. You feel me? Like, it's not just one or the other. I'm not saying like use IMDb, forget what he was talking about. And I mean, obviously the whole point of you finding these people is so you can reach out to them directly. But with so many artists doing that same thing, I feel like it's also important that you stand out from the crowd. You feel me? Like, of course, you're going to do your research. You're going to search for music supervisors that work on projects that align specifically with your style of music. You can even look for a specific movie or a TV show that you think your music would be a good fit for. Listen to the style of music that they already have. Like, if you're listening to a show and you hear the soundtrack and it kind of has a similar vibe to what you already doing, then you can use that to gauge whether or not, it's worth it to even go through the process of hitting them up. But once you have identified, multiple music supervisors that you're trying to reach out to, while you're in the process of getting your list together, look at their profiles and see if they have any contact information. Really what you're looking for is their email. And, you hear some artists going through the DMs with it, but after listening to a whole bunch of different interviews with music supervisors, most of them say that they prefer for you to reach out to them through email. But, you're not always going to be able to find their contact information in their profile. So at that point, you can try to message them on LinkedIn, but just make sure that you keep your message short, straight to the point, and provide all the information that they're going to need. You want to make sure to keep it professional, but also friendly. And a part of keeping it professional is showing that you've done your homework and you recognize the type of things that they need. And you never want to just jump right into what you want them to do for you. You feel me? You want to introduce yourself and use all the information that you found in your research and explain to them, just straight up, like why you think that your music would be a good fit for what they got going on already. You got to think about how many different emails and messages that these people get. And you got to keep in mind that you want to stand out, but in a positive way. You don't want to be that person that stands out because you did something completely off the wall and they just go to their coworkers or their friends or whatever. They're like, man, can you believe this person? You know, a big mistake that a lot of artists make is sending one email and then for some reason they never follow back up. You know, you can't get all in your feelings just because you ain't hear back right away. You know, like I said, they're people too, and music supervisors are actually notoriously busy. So, you know, it might take them some time to get back to your email, but you want to keep putting yourself out there and following up. That way you can stay at the top of their mind, like, oh, I forgot I didn't email this person back. Now, if they say they want you to stop emailing them, they say stop contacting me, then, you know, don't be no weirdo. Stop emailing them. Don't contact them no more. But checking in and following up after a few weeks, that's never gonna hurt. That's not weird. I know it feels weird because depending on, I guess, who you are, like you might not be the type to just keep hitting somebody back, especially when they don't reply. You feel me? Like no reply is a reply. That's how I am with everybody else. But when it comes to this is business. And like I said, if you're busy, you might miss what I'm trying to hit you up about. And this isn't just for music supervisors. This can be for venues. It could be if you're reaching out to blogs or playlists. It could be any of these things. And again, if you're not getting a reply, don't just keep doing the same thing. Keep sending the same type of message and be like, oh, they're not replying. Like, you got to course correct and figure out what could be better. Whether it's the header in your email, you know, what gets them to click it. And there's a whole bunch of tools out there where you can see if they open your email or if it never got opened at all. If it's getting open but you're not getting a reply, that shows that your email header was good. You know, you could still tweak it a little bit if you want to, but you straight right there because they at least opened it. But what you said once they did open it didn't entice them enough to move on. What that reason is, it could be, like I said, they got so many people hitting them up, they can only take so many people, but you have to at least be willing to self-analyze and see if there's something more that you could be doing for yourself. And if you get any other, let's say you're reaching out to a music supervisor, if you get any other placements, go ahead and when you follow up, you know, go ahead and mention that you got placed on whatever other project. You know, adding these other accolades and wins into your pitch as you're following up, it shows that, hey, not only am I serious and am I professional, but other people are working with me as well. But the reason that I feel like music supervisors prefer to work with smaller artists is because, you know, typically an independent artist is going to be a lot more flexible and probably even easier to work with. Not like on a personality type level, but I'm saying there's not as much red tape and there's not all of these different middlemen that are between the supervisor and the artist. They can just talk directly to an artist if they're smaller and it's just them. And that gives all of us, you know, a huge amount of leverage as an independent artist when it comes to the licensing fees and the terms that are agreed upon. It's usually the smaller artists that's more willing to negotiate. And other than being flexible, smaller artists tend to be, you know, a lot quicker to respond. And a lot of times music supervisors are on a tight deadline. So it's crucial that they're able to get requests turned around as quickly as they can. So yeah, man, not only would it be cool to get your song on a TV show and a movie and like a video game and stuff like that, but it would also be great to earn that extra money and then invest it straight back into your career. You know, you could put it into your marketing and just keep adding fuel to the fire that you're building. But, you know, what happens once you start earning that money? What happens when you got some income and you're generating some revenue for yourself? And I feel like a lot of artists fumble their bag because they make a huge mistake of not learning any parts of the business. They are in an industry and have a career in a business that they know nothing about. And as important as it is for an artist to earn money, it's going to be just as important that they learn the business too. You feel me? As important as it is for an artist to earn money, it's also just as important for them to learn what to do with the money once they get it.
Ugh, it's just f***ing embarrassing, Bradley. I mean, seriously.
I told you not to call me that. My name is Vortex.
Who tells people they're a f***ing rapper when they don't even release any f***ing
I'm
music.
finna pop off, man. I'm gonna
Where's
be
your
famous,
music
believe
then?
that.
Give me one song by the almighty Vortex that I can actually show people so I don't feel
Whatever.
like such a f***ing loser when I say my boyfriend's
Whatever.
a f***ing rapper.
Yeah.
Always making a fool of
This
yourself out
girl
in
really
public.
tried to hurt my feelings.
See, this is exactly what I'm
Tell
talking
them
about.
bring us 2 checks. I won't pay for what you getting.
Wow,
Yeah.
seriously?
DistroKid, the best way to get your music on all streaming platforms for only $40 a year. Enjoy 7% off on your first year by clicking our VIP referral link down in the description and get verified on Spotify and become the artist that you claim to be.
Girl, I'm so happy you finally broke up with that loser. You deserve so much better. What? What happened?
Oh my god, you gotta be kidding me.
We're gonna pull up this next clip. We got Chris Brown breaking down the 60-40 rule for us. And by the way, this Chris Brown is the UK music lawyer, just in case, you thought I was talking about the singer.
If you want to make your living out of music, then there's one rule above everything else, especially as an indie artist, that you need to learn and stick to. For those of you who are new here, I'm UK music lawyer Chris Brown, helping to demystify your legal agreements and helping you take control of your music career. The rule that I'm talking about that's going to completely transform your music business if you're just starting out is the 60-40 rule. The 60-40 rule is pretty straightforward. It just means that you spend 60% of your time looking at the business and 40% of your time working on the music. Now, a lot of musicians are going to say, no, I didn't get into this in order to learn business. I wanted to be a musician. I want to write. I want to record. I want to perform. That's why I got into music. Now, that's great, and I love that, but I want you to be able to make an actual living doing it. And the only way that you can actually make a living is if you understand the business behind it. So that 60% includes, first of all, just studying about the music business, understanding what goes into your contracts, whether that's your management agreement, whether that's your recording agreement with your label. You need to understand what those clauses mean so that you know that you're getting paid what you're owed each and every time somebody gives you money. It can be producing content for social media to help promote your music or promote live gigs so that when it comes time for people to buy tickets or to buy your music, they know where to go, what to do, and where to find you. That 40%, that's the fun part. That's writing, that's recording, that's trying out new material, that's going out and doing your live performances. That's what you actually came here to do. But it's doing that 60%, doing the business that helps make sure that you can pay your bills, eat, buy new gear, and develop your fan base so you have a long-term business with your music. Need help with any of your music agreements? Get in touch.
I mean, you already know I agree with this. I say in almost every single episode that great music isn't enough. And it goes without saying that obviously it's incredibly important. Without great music, you won't have any music career to build on, you feel me? But at the same time, I feel like it's also important to remember that the music industry is just a business. It's just like every other business. And if you want to make a living off of your music, then you need to start treating it like every other business. You feel me? If you owned a tattoo shop, you couldn't expect to completely ignore the business and only focus on doing the tattoos without knowing that the business is going to eventually suffer. And I've heard about the 60-40 rule before, and I'm going to be real with you. I don't sit here and break down the percentages of, how I spend my time, but you could use something like this as a gauge for how much of your time you should be dedicating to a particular task, if that makes sense. By dedicating 60% of your time to the business side of things and then 40% of your time to the music, it gives you some sort of balance between your creative output and the boring day-to-day tasks that, are required for you to have a sustainable career. And I know networking and marketing and financial management, it's never going to be as exciting as recording the music. But they're all important pieces of a puzzle, which when you put it together, it makes a picture of a successful music career. And by no means am I saying that you should just ignore the music completely just because there's some things on the business side that needs to get done. Like I said, great music is still going to be the foundation for your career. You know, that's the whole point of building a music career. And you could try to think of the 60-40 rule as, you know, more of a way to guarantee that your music has the best possible chance of getting heard by people all around the world. And if you put in the work on the business side of things, then you end up setting yourself up for success, and you'll be able to give your music the platform that it really deserves. And we all know that the music industry is constantly evolving, right? And the only way that you'll be able to keep up with it is if you continue to learn and to grow. Because the thing is, if you start to get good at the business side of the music industry, you can actually end up setting yourself up for success later down the road. You know, the business side of things is where you'll find all of the resources and support that you'll need to build your career. And you start to look at the business side of things not just as some necessary evil, but it's more of like an exciting opportunity to connect with other people around you that, you know, they pushing for the same things that you are. And you might be shocked by how much easier all of this gets, like how much easier it is to look at all of this because you start loving the business side of things. And just because you start loving the business side of things, that don't mean that, you know, you have to abandon your love for music. In fact, I'd say it's even because of my love for music that I can even be as passionate as I am about the other aspects of the business. You feel me? By dedicating your time and your energy into building a foundation for your business, you'll be able to create more opportunities and reach new audiences. And the whole point of the 60-40 rule is to have like some sort of balance between the creative and the business side of things. That way you don't get so caught up in networking and marketing that you neglect your music. And I've personally found like most things on this whole long journey that we on, right? It's a lot about trial and error and taking the time to figure out what works best for you. You know, you got to use what you hear from other people as a guideline, but then you want to refine it to your own routine until you find something that works for you. Don't just copy and paste what somebody's saying, because you might hear 5 different opinions, but a couple of them might be contradicting the others. So you need to be able to absorb all of the different information and utilize what you think would work for you. But you want to retain the things that you think might not work. So just in case, you know, what you had planned that don't work, you got other tactics and other strategies that you can pull from and say, all right, so let's try this. Or if we switch it up a little bit like that, we can go ahead and see how people respond to it. But I know I'm going down a little bit of a rabbit hole with that. So let's go ahead and take a look at this next video. We got United Masters saying that Bobby Shmurda is one of the greatest success stories of an independent artist.
Bobby Shmurda is one of the greatest independent artist success stories. During an IG Live this week, the rapper talked about how he's managed to continue making money after being incarcerated and becoming an independent artist. He said that even though it's been years since he's had a multi-platinum hit, he's still making a lot of money.
You get a check every 30 days, bro. When you independent, but your thing is, when you independent, you get a check every 30 days, but you don't get no radio play, you don't get no billboards and none of that.
He said that even though we no longer hear him on the radio or see him on the Billboard charts, he's still making money because he's getting a bigger portion of the revenue. And Bobby is saying that all this success is continuing to happen because he's not signed to a major label and he's an independent artist.
But if you sign to the label, remember, they own you. You only get 13% of anything they sell when they own you. You feel me? So once they own you, of course, I'm going to put you everywhere. I'm going to put you everywhere. I'll make sure you pushed everywhere. I'm going to make sure I got your face everywhere.
Bobby is truly one of a kind, but let us know what you think of his new independent status in the comments below.
See, man, this why I like to hear stories from people like Bobby, where he had the experience of being both signed and independent. And even though obviously getting locked up was probably never part of his plan, but it probably helped put things in a perspective for him that he may not have seen otherwise. You know, he probably saw that as an independent artist, he has a lot more control. He got a lot more freedom. and putting money to the side for a second, he don't gotta worry about anyone in his ear applying pressure and outside interference about what type of music that he makes. And you can even tell how excited he was that he gets paid every 30 days as opposed to however it was structured for him before. You know, because when you sign with the label, of course, they take a cut of your earnings and, you know, that leaves you with less in your pockets. But now he's gotten a little taste of what it's like to get paid directly for his work without any middleman trying to take a piece. And he was even saying that being off a major, you don't really get any radio play or, you know, any placements on Billboard. And obviously those are great ways to get some exposure, but with everything that social media and streaming have to offer, it's, you know, it's easier than ever before to build a fan base without any help from a label. And someone like Bobby, you know, he already had a fan base and he could tap back into it without, you know, worrying about starting from scratch. So even if you wasn't a household name necessarily, you could still make a decent living without ever doing any type of typical 9-to-5, right? So really it all comes down to the type of artist that you want to be. As long as you stay true to yourself and you follow your own gut, then really you should be straight.
If you're a true musicpreneur, then I'd like to offer you a lifeline and invite you to a one-on-one session with me that we'll treat like your own personal mastermind, where I'll answer any questions and we can strategize actionable steps tailored to your unique situation. I'm only opening up a limited number of slots each month, so if you'd like to apply, you can visit www.indieleverage.com/live-call. And don't worry, I put the link down in the description for you. So for now, let's get back to the video.
And ain't nobody said that being an independent artist was gonna be the easy path. But from where I'm standing, you know, it's definitely one of the most rewarding. But we're gonna go ahead and pull up this next clip. We got Elliot Towsley, and he had a few ideas about how an artist can monetize what they do.
Quick ways to make more money as a musician in 2023. Number 1, perform live. Number 2, sell merchandise. Number 3, release and sell music. 4, licensing. 5, teach other musicians how to play an instrument or how to market or how to book a show. 6, the streaming platforms. They may pay next to nothing, but it is an avenue of revenue that you should be taking advantage of. 7, crowdfunding. You can use things like Patreon or Kickstarter to try to monetize your audience in relatively unconventional ways. And lastly, number 8, collaborations, session work. Use your skill to work with other musicians who might be willing to pay for the value that you're going to bring to their project. There you have it, 8 quick ways to make more money as a musician. Follow me to learn some more.
Yeah, I could rock with all of those that he listed, but I want to focus on what he was saying about using a member site like Patreon. And I've always liked that idea, and it's always felt just real practical, you know, like it just makes sense. Like, okay, yeah, you get a few people and they pay a couple dollars a month, you know, even charge like $2 a month if you want to. If you got 2,000 people signed up, that's $4,000 a month. That's pretty, you know, steady, sustainable, predictable income. You know, like I said, it makes sense, but I ain't never pulled a trigger on it, if I'm honest with you, because I never could pinpoint exactly what I would want to put behind my paywall. And it's not just Patreon. I know YouTube started their own member subscription as well, but whatever platform that you want to use, the real question is, what are you going to do to create great content that's bringing enough value to people where they feel like it's worth paying whatever you charging? And honestly, you know, it could be kind of intimidating to think about asking people to pay for your work. At least for me, I don't know. I never wanted to come across as like a salesman or something like that. But really, it's all about building a community, just like with everything else. And as far as the content, you know, you want to make sure that you create a real sense of value. You feel me? You want people to feel like they're really getting something special when they pay for that special access, you know, to whatever content that you're putting up. And you could put things like exclusive content or even like early access to a song or a project that you got coming up. Or you could even put exclusive behind the scenes videos where you show a little bit of your creative process. And yeah, I mean, I've gone down that rabbit hole a couple times, to be real. thinking of different things that I could possibly do and ways that I could get people more involved. But ultimately, you want to pick a few things that you want to do or what you want to provide for people, and you just want to commit to that. And if you wanted to, you could put like a tiered pricing system where, you could potentially make your membership site more accessible to a wider group of people. So, like, for example, you could have some sort of basic membership that includes access to your music in advance, right? And then you can go a step further and have some sort of mid-level membership, and it gives them early access to your music, but it also gives them some additional perk that you'd want to include. I can't think of nothing off the top of my head. But then you can have some sort of top-level premium type membership that includes everything that you offer, plus a personal, I don't know, like a one-on-one call or something like that. I don't know, I'm just kind of like talking it out because I know a membership site can be a powerful tool for us to use, you feel me? And honestly, once you get it set up, it would even be a great way to earn predictable income. If you're looking for some sort of investor, that's exactly the type of thing that they love to see. And it's obviously not going to be for everybody, and it might not even be a right fit for you. It really just depends on your particular goals. But, it's at least worth considering if you're trying to find some ways to earn extra money as an artist. Like I said, everything that he listed, they're all potential ways that you can earn some extra money, but I wanted to focus on the membership site thing in particular. But whatever route you take, I feel like it's important to do one at a time and slowly scale it from there. We hear everywhere that it's important to have multiple streams of revenue, but Rome wasn't built overnight. You feel me? I think it's more effective to do one at a time, and then as it becomes more manageable, that's when you can add other things along the way. Once you have it systematized, then you got everything kind of working for itself. But, we done talked about a lot of different ways that we can earn some money. So which one of these ways seems the most interesting to you? Which one do you feel like works best for you? Go ahead and tell me down in the comments how you want to start earning some income as a music artist. So while you're thinking about that, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up with our final clip of the day. And we got a video with Sauce Walker where he tells us how he really feels about why an artist should continue getting paid for their music for forever.
I always understood that music is business. So just because I'm an artist and I'm performing, and there's a performing aspect of me being an artist, that doesn't mean that I should not be paid for the rest of my life for making music, because music is business, and music is business that goes on 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, 7 days a week. At every given moment, somebody is playing music, streaming music, listening to music in some way, shape, or form. So I was just a person that I never understood or respected the fact that to get to certain levels in the music industry, I have to sell the ownership of what I've created as an artist, because music is art. Music for some people is spiritual, for some people it's mental, for some people it's about money and finances and entertainment. But at the end of the day, I understand that music is something that's forever, and if you create something that's forever, that's making money and getting played forever, you deserve to be paid for that forever, if it has a fan base of people that wants to see it.
So I feel like really what he's saying is, as long as an artist has music that's generating money, they should be compensated for that. And that's really one of the biggest assets that, all of us as artists have. It's our music catalogs. And the music industry has always kind of been the Wild West when it comes to fairly compensating artists. But I personally feel like it's not asking too much that people get paid off of their own intellectual property. I mean, if you putting in hard work to create something that people enjoy, they actually enjoy it, they vibing with it, then why shouldn't you be able to reap the benefits of that work? And the labels have made it real clear that they're not really on board with this concept. And I understand why, they got a business to run, but we've all heard the horror stories of, artists signing away the rights to their music just for pennies on the dollar. And even if an artist does manage to negotiate a decent contract because they built up, enough leverage, then they still always got that chance that they get screwed over in the long run. And let me explain. The classic story is that the person that you originally signed with, like the person when you first signed in the dotted line, the person that recruited you and they got you on board, they working with you, the classic story is that, you know, they end up moving on. They no longer work with the company. And then labels can also choose not to renew a contract, which basically that takes away an artist's ability to continue earning money for their music. And so many of them go into the situation completely unaware of how it all runs and operates. So if they do have to do it on their own, they have no clue how it operates. They was just sitting back chilling. They was doing their artist thing, right? And when it comes to the issue of fair compensation for artists, I feel like it's becoming more public knowledge, and people are starting to recognize that for an artist, their music is their intellectual property, and they should be able to benefit from it for as long as it continues to earn money. But, you know, the music industry is notorious for being slow to innovate, and they seem completely comfortable being stuck in the past when it comes to fair compensation or even basic rights to what somebody created. You know, they'd rather hold on to the rights of an artist's music, even if it means that the artist loses out on potential revenue down the line. And the only real solution is that labels and, you know, other industry people, they start to recognize the true value of an artist's intellectual property. But, you know, that's not really a real solution. You know, we can't all just wait around for people to be decent human beings where we all around a campfire singing Kumbaya or whatever. You know, we gotta actually stay on point when it comes to our business. When it comes to negotiating a contract, you gotta make sure that you're retaining ownership and control of your music over time. You know, that's why so many of us want to remain independent and just hire a team or an agency to help us out whenever the time comes. But I hope this episode at least got you thinking about all the different types of ways that we can, you know, use not just our music, but anything associated with our brand to generate a livable income. But if you're not already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. You know, make sure that you get notified for more videos like this. We got new videos dropping every single week. So until next time, y'all keep pushing, cause we starting to gain some leverage.
I can't settle for average. I made it a habit of doing what they couldn't get done. Wait, you still here? You must not know a video to watch next or something, huh? Alright, man. I got you, bro, but you gonna have to get up out of my studio, cause what the got me showing up. You can keep your keeper behind the gate if they won't let me in. Yeah. We balancing the scales now, and we got them scared, yeah. We been gaining leverage. What I need a handout for. Watch me really put myself on. In the leverage drop gems, you get all the free game. Yeah, yeah, we got plenty more souls.